Hey folks, how are you? This is Amar Sheth at Sales for Life, and welcome to another edition of The Social Success Factor. My job here is to bring you relevant, contextual, and timely news about salespeople that are doing really well using social media in their daily sales process. And once again, I'm delivering for you. I have the number one ISR at Brocade here with me today. I have Garrett Graston. Garrett, thanks so much for being here.
Amar, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's pleasure's all mine. Thanks. So Garrett, let's just jump right in. You started social selling in 2014. Am I right?
Yes, yeah, about the beginning of 2014.
So talk to me about your journey. How did you start? What did you do? And why social? Why were you intrigued by social media?
Yeah, so I feel like for me as part of the millennial generation of people that are roughly my age here, we grew up on technology, right? We grew up with video games, with computers, with social networking sites, the MySpaces of the world, Facebook, and so ultimately we grew up with this stuff, and so. For me, I had already been doing a lot of this stuff with my personal life. I have, networks of people that I talk to, high school buddies, college buddies, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of a business perspective, I had never really thought about using social for that reason. And really kind of how it all started for me was coming to Brocade and having that social selling initiative. So Brocade introduced this back in 2014. And, for me, I really just took it head on and continued to plug away at it. I believed in it. I had some successes last year, and here in 2015, I'm definitely looking to do some big things with that.
Thank you. Let's talk about some of those successes. So I'm going to ask you a very direct question. What percentage of your pipeline last year do you think was influenced by social?
Yeah, good question. Good question. So, for me, I think last year, because I was still trying to figure out this whole thing
Yeah,
of what is social, how to do it,
what to
it
do,
wasn't
etc.
as
Yeah.
exactly. It wasn't, my proudest stat, but I would influence probably, I'd say, approximately 10% of, pipeline and revenue that's attributed to being influenced by social.
That's a great start, Garrett. That's actually that's actually more than a lot of people who have been doing this for the better part of a year now. So congrats on that. Um,
Thank you.
you're building, right? You're building skill, you're building your knowledge, you're applying your knowledge. So what do you think that number is going to be this year? Not to put you on the spot, but I think the audience would probably love to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, I think that as you get further and further down the social journey, you get further and further expertise. You start to gain mastery. You really get in there and influence your network. You aren't afraid to connect and reach out and do a lot of this stuff. I think I've kind of gotten to that point. So, for me personally, my biggest goal is I'm looking for at least 100% growth from this area, right?
Hmm.
So I would estimate I want to have at least 25% of my overall pipeline and or overall revenue affected by social media and social selling.
Man, you go big or go home. That's the Garrett way, it seems.
Yep.
I like it. I like it. So I want to ask you a question. What what's preventing? I mean, listen, I have you on the show here because clearly there's value in social media. I believe it. You believe it. But why aren't more salespeople getting in with 2 feet? Why isn't this becoming more of a mandate in the sales industry? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so about a month or so ago, it was a pleasure of mine to actually be a part of Sales for Life Social Selling Summit. Had an incredible experience with that. But one quote that actually really stood out to me while I was listening in on the presentations and whatnot was talking about this idea of social selling, what it is, what's the value, and it was a pretty impressive statistic actually. They had estimated that approximately 75% of sales reps across the country, whatever industry you want to call it,
Hmm.
believe that social media and social selling is of value and of benefit to them, yet only 25% actually execute and implement those methodologies and techniques. So what we have is we have a gap right? We have a gap in terms of knowledge and expertise because people realize that it's valuable, but they don't know how to do it yet. And I think that's what I really took away and I'm starting to build on.
Yeah, the knowledge execution gap. I definitely agree with that. And then Garrett, last question for you. What words of wisdom or inspiration would you leave salespeople as they begin or are thinking about becoming social sellers?
Absolutely. So don't view social selling as this big mountain, this big hurdle that you have to cross, right? Because in reality, it's not. It's, little tips and tricks and methodologies of what you can do as a salesperson on a day-to-day basis, right? So for me, I almost think of social selling and using social media as kind of, getting a cup of coffee and reading a newspaper in the morning, right? It's just part of your daily routine as a salesperson, right? I actually read a very interesting article by a good buddy of mine, Dale Zwinski over at Kite Desk here
Yeah,
this morning. But he basically talked a little bit about, this whole idea where, social selling alone is not going to hit your quota, right? Just like, pounding the phones all day is not going to hit your quota, right?
totally
So
agree.
it's an optimum blend of all different types of strategies and technologies, right, that allow you to do this. So it's not one thing. Take it step by step and gradually work your way up to it because each person has their own speed of getting to social maturity on social selling.
Yeah, speaking of Dale, he has a great phrase that he uses called, and I'm trying to remember it on the spot here, diversifying your sales portfolio. So he
Yep.
says, a third should come from social, a third should come from the phone, a third may come from another source, etc. Whatever that optimum blend is, I completely agree. At no point should anyone believe that social is the magic pill that you can swallow and voila, there's 200% at the other end. No,
Yep.
it's just it's a necessary part of today's sales process. That's all it is. Garrett, I
Absolutely.
really I really want to thank you for your time. Number one in 2014. Where are you going to end up for 2015? I want to know. So we're going to have you back later this year. And plus, I want to see what you're doing. I want to see the progress you're making. So kudos, congratulations. I hope the audience has gotten great value by learning from Garrett, by seeing that everyday normal salespeople are using social media in their sales process and doing well and able to influence a huge portion of their number as a result. So this is Amar Sheth signing out. You've been watching The Social Success Factor. Take care. Thanks, Garrett.
Thank you.